All right, down here at the bottom left of the map is our Terran player. He is behind a game. He needs to win this game to keep this series alive and his chances in this tournament. It is old generation StarCrafters SuperNova. And up here at the top right is his Zerg opponent, the Terran killer himself, the king of GSTL. Can he bring it home here and win the second game? It's DongRaeGu. And one thing I note immediately is they are cross positions, which is going to be really good for DongRaeGu. It's going to mean that SuperNova will not be able to just, creep up the map and siege up outside of his natural very easily. He'll have to go a long ways across the middle of the map. And so DongRaeGu will have a lot of time to prepare for any pushes that SuperNova goes out with.
Yeah, very true. And it's interesting because SuperNova chose this map, so I think maybe it might be a case of SuperNova wants to play that longer game.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine, in most cases, a Terran player does not want to play that longer game. So we'll see what his plan is. I'm really excited. I think it's very clear now he's going to be going for a command center first, which makes sense given that he's chosen this map. SuperNova does like to do these builds from time to time. His opponent is going for a hatch first as well, so we're going to see a very macro-oriented game between these two players.
Yeah, DongRaeGu, he's actually really wants to scout. He sent Overlords in really good directions to scout for proxies. He also sent his drone out to the middle of the map to scout for proxies in the middle of the map as well before scouting the spawn positions to find out where SuperNova is. So there you go. I wonder if SuperNova, sometimes on this map, Terran players like to just basically kind of turtle up off two bases, kill the rocks and get that third, and then move out with a huge, mech army later in the game off those three bases. And they sometimes do drops to harass in the meantime. Maybe that's what SuperNova has planned for this map, why he picked such a big one.
Mech play is quite strong on this map, even though it's a huge map and mech's not very mobile. If you can control it well, you can control the center of the map pretty well. And, if you're a safe and careful mech player who, like you said, does do some Hellion drops and things like that to harass at the same time, you can play mech fairly well on this map. We saw Gumiho do it against an ST, in fact, in WCG, and that may be his plan here. I think that's actually a pretty good guess as to what we're going to see from him.
Yeah, especially since he's going for that command center first. He definitely, at the very least, wants to just go ahead and get that second base going really quickly and start powering off at least two bases. And SuperNova has scouted DongRaeGu as well. Now, here's the thing. DongRaeGu, that kind of play, it depends on kind of killing the Zerg with one push most of the time. You kind of have to, if you're going to play that defensive style of Terran, you kind of have to let the Zerg do what they want for a while and just kill them in the later game, basically. So DongRaeGu sees, okay, command center first, that means I can just get a bunch of drones. I don't even have to get any more Zerglings other than these two to kill your SCV.
Yeah, and that's very true. This is kind of a build that lets the Zerg dictate what happens, I really feel. If you go command center first, then you can't stop Zerg players from taking a fast third. There's rocks on this map, but he could take a fast hidden third if he wants to. He's got tons of opportunities. He can do any tech he wants. He can do a Baneling all-in. You really have to be the one who sits back and turtles and plays in the dark when you do a command center first like this. Normally, the Zerg kind of has to do that to a certain extent, but when you're a Terran, you do command center first. You're the one.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday, we saw Curious win on this map because his Terran opponent just didn't make any defenses. He went for a very fast expansion and just lost. It's a bunch of Zerglings, basically. It wasn't even Banelings, it was just mass Zerglings, basically. So, yeah, you need to play it defensively. You need to be careful, and the Zerg can do, like I said, kind of whatever they want. DongRaeGu has about pretty full saturation, not completely full saturation of his drones on his minerals, and has taken 4 gas.
Yeah, 4 gas all at once. Yeah, right now his worker count with 5 more drones about pop is going to be 42. So he's going to have he's basically going to have full saturation on both bases and all the gases. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to get quickly. It's probably going to be a Spire. Never know, though.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about also is part of the reason, again, why you might have chosen this map is because like you were saying, it is hard for the Zerg to take that third because they have the rocks at their normal third base. So they either have to hide it or they have to make attack units to kill the rocks, and they hate making attack units because those aren't drones.
Very true. That's a lot of the problems that Zerg players had when this map first came out with rocks. You know, people said, well, now, you know, it's hard for Zergs. Lair is on the way. Zergling speed is on the way. We have 2 factories with reactors. We're seeing the 4 Hellions at a time timing attack coming out here from SuperNova. This is usually an all-in. SuperNova has done this with an expansion, but even so, he's not going to have very many siege tanks out if this does not work. He's not going to have any medevacs out. He's not going to have a bio presence. He's basically going to have only Hellions on the map, and it's a scary place to be if this attack does not do a lot of damage. Nice scanning here, trying to kill some creep troopers on the high ground. He's actually just going to try to sneak through here, and it looks like he will.
The Zerglings trapped the Hellions against the spines for a moment, but it was just a moment, and 5 Hellions break through. Oh, he's trying to put down a building. No, it doesn't work. Oh, he clumps up his drone. He needs to be so careful. If he loses that clump of drones, he will pretty much be in a losing situation of the game, but he has a lot of queens, and those 4 queens are going to be able to box out those Hellions pretty well.
Remember, Zergling speed is just now finishing, so those Zerglings were not able to be as useful as they normally would. Nice control here with those drones, trapping a lot of those Hellions. In fact, that's going to be the end of this attack. Only 8 workers killed in total here. A few more Hellions out in the middle of the map, but with those spines still in place, and Zerglings now to block. Zerglings actually killing their own creep tumor. It was a little bit strange.
That's
But it's Zerglings to block the Hellions. These additional Hellions are not going to be able to do much of anything at all. They're going to be able to deny creep, that's about it.
DongRaeGu's going to have to make a mistake and not block his front, basically, for this to work, although scanning is killing. Is he going to let him in? He is going to let him in.
Oh, wow. He lets them in, and there's so many drones stacked up here.
Oh, no. He stacks up his drones. He attacks with them. Why did he do that? He did not need to attack with those drones. He loses so many of them.
Yeah, losing about 10 drones there. The total workers killed now 17
wow.
for SuperNova. But the worker count right now, 46 SCVs to 43 drones. The rocks are being destroyed right now. He's going to take a pretty quick third here. Baneling speed is almost done.
And yeah, I'm really surprised actually that he didn't get a Spire or some kind of other tech when his lair finished, because he has saved up 1,000 gas right now. This would be, you know, the time where if he got an Aspire, he'd be able to make like 15 mutas by the time the Spire pops, and that would be like a really nice little timing there to just get a ton of mutas, especially against all these Hellions. There's the Spire going down now.
And that is sometimes the weakness of the Hellions, is when the Hellions attack finishes, the Spire is out, and they have just barely turrets in time, but they have no Marines, and they have no, there's no Thor out or anything, and the mutalist count starts to get a little bit high, and the Hellions can't control the middle of the map anymore because the Spire is out. But I almost wonder if DongRaeGu forgot that Spire. I mean, like you're saying, right now he's at 1,000. He's getting a second evolution chamber. He's like, well, I have a lot of gas now. I guess I should use it. But SuperNova is not going to be going straight up mech as we predicted earlier. He looks like he's just going Marine tank. Very standard TVZ. And has, switched those factories very quickly. Did not overmake Hellions. So he did not do the all-in that I was talking about earlier, where people just commit to these Hellions, even if it's cross positions, and we get way behind. SuperNova's too smart for that.
And sometimes they attack spine crawlers with Hellions.
That happened once. I don't like to talk about that game, man.
Oh, Bomber.
Bomber, man. He bombed out on that one, that's for sure.
DongRaeGu is finally going to be able to take that third base, and, well, I say finally, but he hasn't really needed to take it.
You know what I want to mention?
Dying in the middle. Go ahead.
Is even though those Hellions were not extremely successful at killing drones, they were extremely successful at killing Zerglings. And right now, SuperNova is moving out on the map with a huge force. The creep spread out here for DongRaeGu, look at that on the map, is actually incredible, despite the fact that he lost a ton of creep. But he does not have a lot of units right now. He's desperately cranking out as many Zerglings as he can. He's trying to hold this off. He knows this is coming.
Yeah, he knows that the mutas won't help him, so he's had enough saved up for about 10 mutas, and he actually isn't spending it on mutas, even though his Spire finished. He's going ahead and getting Zerglings and Banelings, and he might go for a little bit of a flank here.
Yeah,
Zerglings and Banelings from 2 sides. Oh no, actually he's falling back, so it's only from 1 side, but he's desperately falling back, and oh, he's going to lose those tanks at least. Is he going to lose more? No.
And the Marines have been dropped on the high ground. There were no Banelings there because of that attack. Killing a lot of drones, killing this extractor as well, and SuperNova does have more tanks, but he did not rally them, which was a smart decision, but now he doesn't have any tanks, so he's going to be very careful with Marines. Looks like he's going to actually just target the units coming out of these larvae rather than going for the hatchery. A huge number of Banelings here, and SuperNova has already preemptively moved his units back off of creep.
And yeah, it looks like SuperNova is just going to fall back, but he's actually just met up with reinforcements, and he's going to go in for another push. This is pretty dangerous,
Yeah, man,
actually.
look at the
SuperNova
supply.
might just lose all this. He only has 2 tanks.
Well, look at the supply. It's 120
Oh,
to 70
wow.
at this point. He killed so many of those Zerglings that were coming out of the hatchery rather than targeting down the hatchery. I think that was a really cool decision you very rarely see. He's going to target down these Banelings. They're all clumped up. Nice splitting now finally by DongRaeGu. But even so, those Banelings are all blowing up for nothing.
Oh no, and he Maynards in drones back to that natural when there's still Marines there. This is looking really bad for DongRaeGu.
Yeah, I think DongRaeGu is going to lose this one, man. His hatchery is starting to get low on hit points. He does have that 3rd hatchery up now. He's got drones over there. He's continuing to make Zerglings, but SuperNova just continues rallying more and more forces, and DongRaeGu constantly at the having half the supply, losing units that come out of that hatchery because the Marines are not targeting the hatchery, they're just targeting anything.
Yeah, and he's down to about 40 drones right now as well. It's part of the problem here. He's got 3 bases still, but he doesn't actually have the drones to support more than like barely 2 of them. Look at all those creep troopers dying.
Yeah, SuperNova is just playing this so superbly. And that 12 o'clock base that he hid doesn't have any drones, doesn't have a queen there. He can't really use that.
Yeah.
And it looks like SuperNova just wants to end the game now. He's killing Banelings that are morphing. He's taking out these spines. Nice micro, nice targeting with the siege tanks as well. That's going to be it, I think.
GG. Coming from DongRaeGu, and that was a beautiful timing by SuperNova because he attacked right when DongRaeGu would have wanted to make those mutas to start harassing. If he'd attacked a minute later, the mutas would have been out and would have been forcing SuperNova to stay in his base instead of him being able to move out and attack. So beautiful timing by SuperNova there. And you notice DongRaeGu at the end of that game, he had 1,200 gas in the bank because he just couldn't. He had to make Zerglings. And
yeah, he tried to get every upgrade in the book. He was getting +1 for his mutas. He was getting upgrades at his evolution chambers. He was like, oh, I can't make mutas right now. I have to use as much of this gas on Banelings as I can. But then he just didn't have enough. He didn't have enough Zerglings to make the proper amount of Banelings because the Aliens killed a ton of those slow Zerglings when they first got into the base. And when SuperNova was dropping at the natural, rather than killing the hatchery, he just had the Marines targeting down the eggs, and whatever came out of those eggs was Zerglings. The Zerglings were trying to run past the minerals, but the Marines blocked off the minerals, so it was like they were just funneling in there, and the Marines just killed every Zergling that came out, and then suddenly I was like, oh, he's making a lot of stuff, but the supply is just suddenly 120 to 60, and I guess SuperNova is just going to kill him because he doesn't have enough Zerglings.
yeah, pretty much. He actually didn't have the minerals there to make more units at all, and so SuperNova with a nice timing is going to tie up the series. We have a tie ball game here. SuperNova and DongRaeGu are tied at 1 apiece. Remember, this is a best of 3, so the winner of this next game and is going to win the series. And actually, DongRaeGu has picked Antigua Shipyards. I'm pretty sure that the loser picks the map, but that's a little bit puzzling decision for DongRaeGu.
I was a little bit surprised by that myself. I actually wanted to get some clarification on that. This is normally how our tournament is run, but I'm like, did he really pick Antigua Shipyards? I mean, is that really a choice that he thought was the best to make here?
The only thing I can think of is that maybe he wanted a map where there's no rocks blocking the third, so he could take a quick third if need be. If I don't know, and you know, we don't have a ton of maps in the map pool. I know, like, you know, Zelnaga Caverns is another one of those, and he probably didn't want to pick that map for the same reason. So,
yeah, I guess that's the reason why we're gonna have him pick this map. I mean, that's the only decision that makes sense is he wants to be able to take that fast third.
Yeah, the reason why we're so puzzled, by the way, for these of you guys that might not understand, is it's easy for DongRaeGu to take a third, but that also means it's super easy for SuperNova to take a third,
and with the,
even easier actually. So when the Terran gets 3 bases very easily, they can get so much production that it's hard for any Zerg, no matter how good you are, to deal with the amount of unit output that a Terran can make off of 3 bases.
Yeah, and with the architecture of the map, the center of the map is really easy for a Terran to hold. If he can hold that high ground, he can basically take one of those bases if he wants to. But it's very difficult for the Zerg to move out. He has a lot of vision there. It's hard for the Zerg to spread creep at that point. And it's really easy for the Terran to siege up tanks at various positions because of the various high and low ground areas. It's very hard to attack into a Terran on this map. So it's a pretty good map for a Terran. Most people consider this to be a bad map for Zerg because of all the ramps, but we'll see, man. I mean, I guess he feels comfortable on this map. He likes to take that fast third, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Plus, of course, there's spots on the map where you can kind of siege up on the low ground, and if you can get vision of the high ground, you can attack their base from the low ground and be a little bit protected as well. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited as well. This is going to be interesting. SuperNova vs. DongRaeGu, they've been showing us some great games thus far, some really great StarCraft play, and we're going to find out what's going to happen in game number 3 right now.